as a continent has now defined ourselves.
Hello and welcome to TOS TV, your digital first Pan-African network. I am Adesuwa Osuyi and this is TOS News Track. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday afternoon met with the newly appointed service chiefs, charging them to be patriotic and serve the country well. In a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, President Buhari said, "We're in a state of emergency. Be patriotic. Serve the country well, as your loyalty is to the country." The president congratulated the service chiefs on heading the various services, adding, "There's nothing I can tell you about this service because you are in it. I was also in it, and I will pray for you. I also assure you that whatever I can do as Commander-in-Chief will be done, so that the people will appreciate your efforts." He pledged that government will do its best in terms of equipment and logistics. The Nigerian Army have redeployed 300 female soldiers to Abuja-Kaduna Highway as part of measures to curb the menace of banditry and kidnapping along the road and other surrounding communities. While this is the first time female officers are being deployed for internal security operations, their role will be to complement the existing operations along the highway and the environs. The female officers have been drafted into the Operation Thunderstrike of the Nigerian Army, which is currently carrying on a special operation on the Kaduna-Abuja general area. Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who spoke at a ceremony to welcome the first batch of 100 female officers and handing over of their residential accommodation to the Nigerian Army in Kaduna State, expressed hope of deployment of more soldiers to the Abuja-Kaduna Highway, consolidating the successes recorded so far. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday met the Governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde, at the State House in Abuja over the lingering herdsmen mayhem in the state. Governor Makinde has said his meeting with the Nigerian leader Muhammadu Buhari sought the collaboration of the federal government to effectively tackle the security challenges in the state. The governor said, and I quote, "I asked for greater synergy between the state and federal security agencies. Also, I requested collaboration with the Nigerian Immigration Service for proper documentation of foreign nationals working in mines in the state." Mr. President promised to look into these issues. There have been increased tension recently following the crisis between Ibarapa indigenes and Fulani herdsmen. The herdsmen have been accused of several forms of crime ranging from kidnappings, killings, rape and invasion of farmlands with their cattle. Following the meeting held with representatives of Igongon Ibarapa land, which was attended by security stakeholders, including the recently appointed Commissioner of Police of Oyo State, Mrs. Ngozi Onadeko, our administration has come up with a security strategy for that zone. We have resolved to redeploy 200 members of the Oyo State Western Nigerian Security Network, codenamed Amotekun, to kidnapping and banditry hotspots in the state, especially in the Ibarapa and Okeogun zones, the governor has said. The Benue State Government has impounded 376 cows and arrested 6 herdsmen for flouting the anti-open grazing law. Deputy Governor of the state, Engineer Benson Abonu, raised alarm over a renewed influx of armed herdsmen with large herds of cattle into parts of the state. He noted that investigation following the declaration by the Nasarawa State Governor, Abdullahi Sule, about regrouping of Boko Haram insurgents at the boundary between Benue and Nasarawa uncovered mass presence of cattle along River Benue in Agatu and Gwe West local government areas. According to the Deputy Governor, security checks revealed the invasion of armed herdsmen with AK-47 rifles and large herds of cattle on the brink of River Benue on the Nasarawa State Bank. He stated that in keeping with the open grazing prohibition and ranches establishment law of the state, the cows were kept at the quarantine center in the state and will be released to the owners after fulfilling the necessary conditions. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday signed a law to check the spread of COVID-19 pandemic and slammed 6 months imprisonment on violators of COVID-19 protocols. The chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and the secretary to the government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, disclosed this while handing over 5 ambulances donated by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) to the Federal Ministry of Health on Wednesday in Abuja. Mustafa said that the bill titled COVID-19 Health Protection Regulations 2021 is an exercise of the powers as conferred on the President by Section 4 of the Quarantine Act. The Act stipulates a penalty of a fine or a prison of 6 months for offenders. The President said that the law takes immediate effect, he explained. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You are watching TOS News Track. Still ahead, Africa and international stories. Do stay tuned. Health and finance ministers from Africa are to meet the head of the World Health Organization to discuss equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. It comes a day after South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is also the chairperson of the African Union, pleaded with rich nations to share their excess vaccines doses with poorer countries. Rich countries had bought nearly 800 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, enough to vaccinate their entire populations before poorer countries were able to do so, said Dr. Seth Beckley, the CEO of Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. They also have another 1.4 billion doses of different vaccines operations, but to ensure that poorer countries start vaccinating their populations against COVID-19, we are looking at approaching rich and asking them to donate excess vaccines to poorer countries, Dr. Beckley said at the ongoing virtual conference organized by the World Economic Forum. More than 45 countries globally have begun COVID-19 vaccinations. In Africa, only Egypt, Morocco, Guinea, Mauritius, and Seychelles have started vaccinating frontline healthcare workers and those who are vulnerable. These 5 countries are using vaccines that have been donated to them by allied richer nations. Tanzania's President John Magufuli has warned health officials against acquiring COVID-19 vaccines, saying without giving evidence that they could harm the population. The Ministry of Health should be careful. They should not hurry to try these vaccines without doing research. Not every vaccine is important to us. We should be careful. We should not be used as guinea pigs, Mr. Magufuli said. Vaccinations are dangerous. If the white man was able to come up with vaccinations, he should have found the vaccinations for AIDS, cancer, and tuberculosis by now. President Magufuli urged Tanzanians to continue taking precautions, saying prayers and traditional medicines, including steam inhalation, were the way to deal with coronavirus. Many countries have lockdown, but in Tanzania there are no plans of lockdown, and will never introduce lockdown because our God is alive and he will continue to protect us. Tanzania stopped publishing official data about coronavirus in June last year. Former Ghanaian leader Jerry John Rawlings was buried with full military honors on Wednesday after a state funeral at the military cemetery, Accra, amidst pomp and pageantry with several displays to honor the Ghanaian hero attended by representatives of world leaders. Rawlings, who died on 12 November 2020, aged 73, held power for 2 decades in Ghana, first as a military ruler and later as an elected president. He was buried in a coffin draped in Ghana's national colors of red, yellow, green, and black, and an officer's cap was placed at the head of the closed coffin with a glittering gold-plated sword. Rawlings, a former Air Force pilot, was given a Guard of Honor at Independence Square, a symbol of Ghana's victory over colonial Britain in the nation's capital, Accra. Hundreds of Ghanaians earlier this week paid their final respect as his coffin laid in the state during 2 days of national mourning under strict COVID-19 protocols. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo described Rawlings as a charismatic and fearless leader. Papa J, as Rawlings was popularly known, was buried at a military cemetery in Accra after a 3-hour ceremony of tributes, prayers, cultural displays, and songs. Members of Parliament in the Democratic Republic of Congo have voted to remove Prime Minister Sylvester Lukamba from power. Mr. Lukamba was not present during the no-confidence vote in Parliament, has been given 24 hours to resign, I beg your pardon. The lawmakers accuse Mr. Lukamba, an ally of former President Joseph Kabila, and his ministers of poor performance. The collapse of the government paves the way for President Felix Tshisekedi to appoint loyalists as ministers. This will be the first time in the Republic of Congo's 60-year history that a government has been forced to resign. Somalia has criticized a fact-finding report by the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, which dismissed claims that Kenya is funding militias engaged in clashes with Somali federal troops in the border area of Beled Hawo. Information Minister Abuka Osman Dube said the report relied on one side and did not collect any information from Somalia. The minister said the entire report is citing Kenya's Defense Minister Monica Juma. Mr. Dube said the report was released on January 25th, which is the day deadly fighting erupted in Beled Hawo town near the Kenya border. The Djibouti-led fact-finding special committee to resolve the diplomatic standoff between Kenya and Somalia was made up of a team formed by Djibouti President Ismail Guelleh. The team included diplomats and military chiefs. The United States has called for the immediate withdrawal of Eritrean troops in Ethiopia's Tigray region. Credible reports had emerged of their involvement in human rights abuses, including sexual violence and looting. The State Department said this is its first statement on the conflict since the Joe Biden administration took office last week. Both the Eritrean and Ethiopian governments deny that Eritrean forces are in Tigray, which borders Eritrea. Dialogue between the Ethiopian government and Tigrayans was essential, and humanitarian aid needed to be mobilized immediately because of credible reports that hundreds of thousands of people may starve to death, the U.S. State Department said. The United States has made clear its position that all Eritrean troops need to leave Tigray immediately, given credible reports of looting, sexual violence, assault in refugee camps, and other human rights abuses, the statement said. Global coronavirus cases surpassed 100 million on Wednesday, according to a Reuters tally, as countries around the world struggle with new virus variants and vaccine shortfalls. Almost 1.3% of the world's population has now been infected with COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, and more than 2.1 million people have died. One person has been infected every 7.7 seconds on average since the start of the year. Around 668,250 cases have been reported each day over the same period, and the global fatality rate stands at 2.15%. The worst affected countries, the United States, India, Brazil, Russia, and the United Kingdom, make up more than half of all reported COVID-19 cases, but represent 28% of the global population, according to a Reuters analysis. Prime Minister Boris Johnson indicated on Wednesday the COVID-19 lockdown in England would last until March 8, when schools could start to reopen, as the government announced new measures to clamp down on travel to and from Britain. A highly contagious new variant of the virus, which emerged in southeast England at the end of last year, has led to a soaring number of infections across Britain, with cases and deaths reaching record levels. On Tuesday, Britain's COVID-19 death toll surpassed 100,000, the first European state to reach that figure, leading to questions about Johnson's handling of a crisis that has also battered the economy. England has been in lockdown since the start of January, with schools, pubs and restaurants closed and people told to stay home as much as possible. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, whose governments decide on their own measures, are also under various restrictions. Britain has begun a vaccination program aimed at delivering shots to 15 million people in priority groups by the middle of February. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS TV network. You're watching TOS News Track. Still ahead, business and sports. Nigerian Stock Exchange year-to-date returns stood at 4.08% to print market capitalization at 21,934 trillion naira. Nigerian bourse sustained the bulls as the all-share index advanced further by 0.83% to close the day's trading at 930,000.73 index points. Consecutively, the Nigerian Stock Exchange year-to-date return stood at 4.08% to print market capitalization at 21,934 trillion naira. Transnational corporations continue to trend as the most traded stock with regards to volume, with 57.2 million shares, while Zenith Bank tops by value at 1.24 billion naira. With 35 gainers to 21 losers, sectoral indices were mostly positive. Nigerian stocks kept the bullish run ongoing, and significant buying pressure cited in leading telecom stocks that include MTN Nigeria and Airtel Africa. Market watchers, however, envisaged cautious buying amid improved market conditions in Nigeria's financial markets. Enter sports. Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello on Tuesday evening received in audience the captain of the Nigerian national football team, Ahmed Musa. While receiving the soccer talisman, Governor Bello described Ahmed Musa as an excellent and clinical attacker who, with the entire Super Eagles team, has brought so much pride to the soccer aficionado, both within and outside the country. While presenting the Super Eagles jersey to the governor, Ahmed Musa said he has so much admiration for the leadership style of Yahaya Bello, especially in the area of youth and women involvement in governance, as demonstrated by the governor. The NPFL Matchday 6 final fixtures saw the side defeat Rivers United 1-0 at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna. Fresh from their 3-0 thrashing of South Africa's Bloemfontein Celtic 5-0 aggregate in the Port Novo, Rivers United came into this game second on the table and hoping to run out with a result against Kano Pillars, who were looking for stability. Time eventually ran out and Kano Pillars moved up to 5th on the log with that win, as Rivers remained second on the table. The goal was Mwagwa's second of the season. Rivers United play host to struggling Adamawa United in the next game, while Kano Pillars make the trip to Uyo to face Kennedy Boboye's boys, Aqua United, in match day 7 in the Nigerian Professional Football League. Still on the NPFL 2020-2021 season, nerves are already twitching and trembling with sensation as Plateau United prepares to host Nasarawa United at the Jos International Stadium on Friday, 29th January, in the clash of the Titans as the 2020-2021 Nigeria Professional Football League season revives the fierce rivalry between these two regional football powerhouses in what has now been dubbed the North Central Derby by pundits. The Travellers are yet to taste defeat this season, having won 4 games, including 2 home and 2 away games, and picking up 1 point each at home and away respectively, and there seemed to be no sign in sight that they would slow down the tempo anytime soon. Expectedly, the game will come with lots of thrills and frills, as previous encounters between these two great NPFL teams had lived up to the fans' expectations. With no fans allowed into match venues in compliance with COVID-19 protocols, followers of the league will now have nothing to worry about, as the Plateau United versus Nasarawa United duel will be televised live on terrestrial stations. Nigeria Television Authority (NTA), while the league's official broadcast channel, NPFL TV, will beam it live on a global audience. The kickoff is 4 o'clock in the afternoon local time. And that is TOS News Track on your digital first Pan-African network. For more updates, visit www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. TOS News is also available on TSTV as TOS News on channel 138. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV Network. I am Adesua Osui. Bye for now.